Well, you said it, Chewie. Where did you dig up that old fossil?
It's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
It's sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead. But, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention of it.
Hello there and welcome back to Generation Skywalker and the 26th episode of our vintage Star Wars collecting show, Those Old Fossils, where we discuss the original Star Wars toys from the 70s and 80s. Following on from the previous two shows where we discussed IG-88 and Bosk, in this third part of the Bounty Hunter Capture Pod, we are talking Dengar. I'm Dan Burgess, and joining me this evening, I've got Jez Allinson.
Good evening, mate.
You shot Bosk. You run away from IG-88. What's happening with Dengar?
Yeah, Dengar, I'm just gonna, I don't know, I'm not feeling particularly violent or anything tonight, but I think I'm just gonna punch him in the face. I think growing up, I never really thought much of him. I just, I know we'll come on to it, but he's just a slightly chunky guy covered in toilet roll. That was my thoughts as a kid. It's not really changed much.
Ooh, it's a bit of a downer, mate. It's a bit of a downer.
No, it's not dagger. I'm just for me, he was just like, I looked at him and I was like, what is he? And you look at the figure. And we'll come on to that, I'm sure, but yeah, I'd be quite happy. I wouldn't run away from him. I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. I'd just be like, right, you want some? Probably just punch him in the face.
He does look like he's a bit of a misery, but yeah, we'll come on to it. We got Mr. Peter Lee.
Good evening, Dan. How you doing, mate? You good?
How you doing? I'm good, mate. I'm good. So, Pete, the answer to this one this week isn't all of them. You do need to pick one. But if you had to cosplay as one of these bounty hunters, which one would it be?
Oh,
Don't say Boba Fett.
Well, as Jez just said, doing Dengar would just be sort of covering in toilet paper. So on a budget, that would probably be the easiest to... Yeah, I think Bosk. Bosk might be a fun one. I'd probably go Bosk, I reckon.
I reckon you've got enough time between now and Echo to build that cosplay.
The Bosk or for Dengar?
Bosk. Looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah. I'll leave the cosplay to Jason Smith. I think he does it best.
Talking of Echo, really good opportunity to have a chat about that. So it's only a few short weeks away now. And it's going to be on Saturday, the 11th of October, again at the Kingfisher Shopping Centre in Redditch. Jez, for any of our listeners who haven't experienced Echo before, can you give them the lowdown on the event?
Yeah, sure. It's probably Europe's biggest Star Wars collecting fair. You go online and it says the premier Star Wars toy and collectible show featuring toys, art and actors. It's a rather unique affair though, because you as a collector, as a family, you can pretty much not have a day out, but you can go there free of charge if you didn't want to get one of their early bird tickets. So apart from the getting in early and seeing what the various traders have got, you can just mosey on in with your family, with, whoever. And there's plenty of stuff for everyone to see for all budgets. And I mean all budgets in this shopping centre. So there's plenty of other shops around and car parking's not an issue. And it's big social aspect as well, which I'm sure we'll come on to. But from left of arc through to right of arc of opportunities and things for Star Wars collectors, from vintage to modern, it's got it all. And it's just grown. And it's been remarkable to see how this team of people that have put it together, and as well as the fact that you could go there free of charge if you wanted to, they do generate revenue. They do generate income from, early bird tickets, from a really, really great charity fundraising prize draw they do, raffle. But for all the traders who pay whatever for their tables, and they sell out in a flash, thousands of pounds are generated each year for various charities. And over the years, they have generated in excess now of £100,000, I would guess, for various charities. So yeah, bravo to Echo Live, because it's growing, and it's just something which everyone looks forward to, usually twice a year. So often around about sort of February, March time, and also this usual one is in October. And as you said, it's on October the 11th.
It is overwhelming if you've not been there before. It's just a sea of Star Wars. There's a big contingent there selling vintage collectibles, but there's also a lot of modern collectibles as well, and some of it can be picked up at bargain prices. So yeah, something for everyone there for sure. The other aspect of it, if you are going for the weekend, they do have a Friday night event, Dinner with the Stars, where you can sit down with someone that's been in Star Wars. The theme this year, I believe, is the monsters. So you have the actors that portrayed things like people like Man and Yak Face and various other aliens from Star Wars are going to be there. I think Andy Secombe, who was the voice of Watto, is there as well. What do you know? You're going to end up sat having a meal with them, and it's a decent meal, Jez. We've been to a couple of them now.
We've been to a couple of them. This is going to be their fifth, so the first one was in October 2023. It's just a laugh. It's just something a bit different. We've been out before, and you pay 40 quid or whatever for everyone going off for a curry or a Japanese meal. This is £65 this time. I think it's similar to when we went last time. And for that £65, you get quite a bit. And I'm saying this because they've got, as we make this recording, they've got 2 spare tickets.
Wow, down to that, is it?
Yeah. So it's a hugely popular event. So they take over, or they have, is it the Abbey Hotel in Redditch. So it's not too far away from the shopping centre. And in one of the big function rooms of this hotel, it's very well organised. Shout out to Wayne Totty, because he puts a lot into this. And they sort of get maximum capacity they can in this function room. They've got a lot of the sort of Echo-based Star Wars community. Loads of people chip in. There's, band, DJ, sort of an MC, various things going on. And up to about 10 tables, the seating plan organised by the organisers. And you will have a star or someone involved in the production on your table. So for £65, you get your meal, your 3-course meal, a drink on arrival, a sort of school style photo at the beginning, which I just find hilarious, because all of the guests are there, and as part of their sort of, their agreement, their fee, they have to sit down and smile for a sort of sea of 80 odd people coming in to have a photograph taken. And I've had some hilarious ones where, everyone apart from one person's looking, or 2 people are talking whilst the photographer is saying cheese, and it just captures that moment really, really well. So you get someone at your table and you're able to talk to them about their experiences or what have you. I mean, we had Hilton McRae. Dan, were you on that table? Were you there that night? Pretty sure you.
No, I missed that one. I was there the 2 before that I've been to, though.
Yeah.
But I did miss that one. I'd heard all about it.
Oh yeah, goodness me. And some of these people, again, a little bit inebriated. I mean, Guy Henry was hilarious last time. And it's just great to have everyone there. The food is all sorted, as I say, drinks on arrival, but also there's loads of gizzards. The whole big Star Wars collecting community now, from Celebration through to, this is all about swag and everything. And each person's got something waiting for them on the table. There's loads of swag. There's loads of bits and pieces. And it's just a different scene. That was, what really, really appealed to me. I think the first time I went was, You know, it wasn't just the same thing. It wasn't the same curry. It wasn't going to the same awful Wetherspoons, which we end up going to in Redditch. It was just a little bit of fun, and there's not enough of that in the world, is it? So
yeah, I think the other good aspect of it as well, it doesn't run that late. It's normally wrapped up by about 10. So if you do want to go down that terrible Wetherspoons, you still can, and stay there till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this as well, if you want to bring a partner as well, I've brought Emma to, I think she's been to one of them, and other people bring their wives and girlfriends with them, and it's a pretty nice event. I enjoyed it. So yeah, looking forward to that. So we will all, I think all of us are going, except for you, Pete. You can't make it down there on the Friday, but me, Stu and Jez will be in attendance.
Yeah, I'm always up against it getting up because I've got to get from South London up to there, and I seem to always have traffic nightmares on the way up to Echo. And yeah, I prefer just to sort of get up there, get in the hall, have a look around, drop some stuff off, and have a few chilled out beers. But yeah, whenever I've met you boys after, you're normally full of it. And you normally drag me down to that Wetherspoons as well, Jez. As much as you hate it, you seem to laugh.
Oh yeah, pink shots seems to be the order of the day at those events. Very good. So in terms of the date itself, I think we're all there. I think we've got tables and we're selling. So yeah, if you want to keep an eye out for us, we'll put the link on social media to say where we are. If you want to come over and say hi, we will all be there together selling our wares. What one thing from the event, what would you be on the lookout for?
Oh, one thing. Today, well, now that last 17 run is done, I'm kind of just looking at more Palitoy carded figures. I think I'm pretty open now, which is nice because it is one of those shows, as you said earlier, there's so much there. And over the last couple of years, it seems to be where I do almost 80%, I'd say, of my sort of vintage purchasing through the year. So it's nice to go in there with a bit of cash in your pocket and have a wander around and see what's about. What would I like to walk away with? A 30 back, a Palitoy 30 back would be nice. Can't remember the last time I've seen one of those there. They're obviously getting pretty rare to get, but yeah, that would be very high on the wish list at the moment. A few tri-logos maybe, but yeah. It's a good day. It's good just to catch up with everyone, see who's about, and yeah, it just seems to be getting busier and busier, and dealers as far as the eye can see.
What about you, Jez?
I'm looking for a loose DT Luke.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's about time I got one of those in my life. And at the moment, I think it's buyer's market. You know, we can discuss this at length, I'm sure. You know, figures up and down market, just uncertainty around. And, well, where is it you go often, Peter, where I've met you before?
Yeah, Sandown.
Sandown, yeah. I saw there last time and I very nearly pulled the trigger. And then when I went back to have a look, it was gone. And that was it, a reasonable price. So that's what I'm looking out for. That would be nice. What about you?
I think in keeping with the theme of what we've been recording, I'll get a flavour for it. So a Bosk mailer would be nice, or a Palitoy Boba Fett mailer. That would be the dream. But yeah. Palitoy card backs are nice, but yeah, I'd quite like to get my hands on a Bosk mailer. I've come close on a couple of deals on Facebook, but yeah, not been able to hit the right note yet, but hopefully that will change. So yeah, Echo Base, 11th of October. Do yourself a favour, get down there.
Can't wait to get started, right, fellas? Gotta hunt that bounty, but the bounty's in the hunt, I always say. Tricks of the trade secret, disintegration devices. D-guns, D-bombs, D-missiles. I'm the disintegration machine. Want a guy disintegrated? Get me integrated. That's Dengar's motto.
I want them alive. No disintegration.
As you wish.
Ah, shucks.
Let's move on to Dengar. Back on the first episode of the Bounty Hunter Capture Pod, we did describe that. We have already covered Dengar in a previous episode back in Those Old Fossils episode 14. Jez, you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so, you know, we've been doing Those Old Fossils, which have been focused on vintage collecting, and then we delved off and gone down rabbit holes and looked at various different things from that time, you know, the 70s and 80s and the galaxy far, far away. Then in around about episode 14, we were like, right, let's sort of reestablish the line again and come back to the figures where we had sort of drifted away from. So we thought, right, we're going to go through all 96 figures and we're going to do 4 per show. And the more we got into it, the more sort of overbearing it became. And, you know, it was a huge, huge commitment to try and do 4 figures in one show. So that was the first punt. And it was really great to have Obi-Wan covered in such detail with Matt George. And then we looked at the original, Klaatu and discovered a whole Klatorium focus group on Facebook. So I surprised myself with how invested I got with Klaatu, you know, that old peg warmer. So both a really great deep dive into Obi-Wan Kenobi and Klaatu. We also, as you said, covered Dengar. And then the fourth figure was Anakin, which really didn't take that long. But I remember at the time, we struggled to come up with a great deal for Dengar. But because you're doing this sort of look at all of the bounty hunters, it does make sense for us to go back to Dengar and sort of pick up it and maybe even reference episodes from episode 14.
So in the first reference to that episode 14, we're going to cut now to Mark Hockley giving us an overview of the character.
Come on, let's talk about
Bounty hunters.
baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about
Bounty hunter.
Let's talk about the bounty hunter. Let's talk about
The bounty hunter.
Let's talk about
Bounty hunters.
Let's talk about
Dengar, also apparently known as Dengar the Demolisher, was a Corellian human bounty hunter operating since the beginning of the Clone Wars. He wore plated battle armor and a turban to cover his head during his missions, and in the fourth draft of the Empire Strikes Back screenplay, Dengar was described as a battle-scarred human type and was armed with a modified German MG-42. Played by Maurice Bush, a British 49-year-old former heavyweight boxer turned actor in The Empire Strikes Back, he also briefly appears in The Return of a Jedi during Solo's rescue from Jabba the Hutt. According to IMDb, Maurice also worked as crew on the first Star Wars film as a stand-in for David Prowse. Dengar also appeared in 2 episodes of The Clone Wars. This time he was voiced by Simon Pegg, who reprised the role in the Battlefront video game. Dengar's ship was a modified Corellian Engineering Corporation Jumpmaster 5000 called Punishing One. The ship had no holding cell due to the fact that Dengar usually only took in dead bounties. Dengar's impressive longevity led him to continue his work as a bounty hunter even after the Empire was defeated at the Battle of Endor. And according to rumour, in an attempt to live and work forever, he subjected himself to many cybernetic replacements. By the time of the war between the First Order and the Resistance, he was known as Hrothgar Deng, and held a reputation for being one of the greatest bounty hunters in the galaxy. Deng was present at the planet Kimjimi, is that how you say it, when it was destroyed, but it's not known if he survived. However, it's known that at least one character we're familiar with from the sequels did escape that genocide. Everyone's favourite droidsmith, Babu Frick.
So thanks for that, Mark. Great overview of Dengar there. Nothing's changed there. But the bit that did jump out to me listening back to that was the Roth Deng character from The Rise of Skywalker. Any thoughts on that? I think that's pretty wacky and out there. He's a strange looking character.
It is. And this is where, you know, in the past when Disney came in and it was like, right, all this stuff is now legends, all this stuff is canon, and it was relatively straightforward. And I've still got books which I read and it's like, oh, Dengar did this and Boba Fett did this and then Boba Fett climbed out the Sarlacc pit and all these things. And now they're just rewriting bits and pieces and it's like, hang on a second, I can't keep up with what story's what. I look at that character who I just thought, that's just weird, isn't it? That's just like, it's got the head of someone who's just got their head in a goldfish bowl and it just looks peculiar. And I wouldn't want to think of Dengar going down that route. The whole point of this was Dengar, you know, recognized that he was getting old and he wanted to do all these modifications so he could, you know, keep up with the Joneses and keep up with the youngsters and stuff. It's like, mate, enjoy your retirement. You know, as I'm getting older, I'm thinking, oh, I'm looking forward to retirement. I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to sever my major limbs and like, you know, get some robotics just so I can stay working for a bit longer. No thanks, Dengar. Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who does what Dengar does?
When you look at the kind of evolution of the character, you've got this wisecracking Dengar in Clone Wars, voiced by Simon Pegg.
Hey, boss, who's your girlfriend?
Shut up, Dengar.
To a miserable looking so-and-so in Empire Strikes Back to this absolute freak show in The Rise of Skywalker. I had a great life. Started up so happy as Simon Pegg.
Yeah, I've just wrote on my notes, I just wrote, not my Dengar. He's just, but it's also, you just look at it and it's, I think in the YouTube, I think the guy reads a lot of the visual dictionary text and it's just like the phrase bad decision making comes up twice and you're like, I don't want my bounty hunters to be making bad decisions. You know what I mean? It's just weird. It's just like plastic surgery disasters, isn't it? And it's like you say, it's fish tank bowl. not quite working.
I hope it's not him. I hope it's not him.
I mean, here's a question though. I mean, is this all the likes of, say, Pablo Hidalgo just saying, this is what I think, therefore I'm going to make it so? Who is making these decisions? Or is it just people who are writing these books for Disney, for Lucasfilm, who are saying, oh yeah, that person, yeah, it kind of looks a little bit like this. It looks a little bit like it, but for the figure itself, I worry sometimes that decisions like this are getting made by people who aren't thinking it through to the finish. And as I say, yeah, not my Dengar. So
start a new hashtag, not my Dengar. Very good, very good. So what were going on to Dengar, the classic Dengar from Empire Strikes Back then, and the figure? What were our memories of it growing up? And obviously we're going to talk about the mail away in a little while, but I think Jez, you've shown your hand a little bit. But Pete, what do you think of this one? Do you got many good memories of it growing up?
I have, yeah. I remember getting the mail away, and I think always sort of looking at those figures that you did get the mail aways, they always just have a special memory and kind of ingrained in your memory of that time that it was something special. I think I've still got my childhood one, or it's quite mint. I'm suspect whether I actually did swap it out at some stage. I think it's a great figure, and you sort of got the whole the mail away behind that, and it sits nicely within the Bounty Hunter lineup. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm quite shocked at Jez's comments actually.
Yeah, do you want to elaborate at all, Jez?
I was just saying, I just thought he just looked he looked a little bit out of shape. I was like, I want my bounty hunters to be nimble, to be agile. And I'm not being, sizist or anything like that, but I think it might have been because of the armor and because of everything else. When compared against the very sleek and slender Stormtrooper, I was like, oh yeah, he's carrying some timber, that guy. And I think because of the sort of bandages wrapped around, I think Forlom is just such a better character than Dengar. I think Dengar, for me, out of the bounty hunters, is probably joined worst with old Fly Eyes Zuckass. And yeah, the only really good redeeming feature about him is his weapons pretty good. I was never a massive fan of him, and I can't remember the mail away.
I can't wait until we do our little mini committee and find out who the most popular bounty hunters are. Very good. Okay. And the card back then, what do we think of
I like it, but the image is so blurred, his face in it. I've sort of tracked down where that image comes from, and it's a flipped image of all of them, isn't it?
bit of airbrushing going on?
It's just really blurred. They've recently re-released that image, haven't they, in a really sort of clear version on the sort of vintage collection, and I think it's just come out, a new vintage collection version of it. Obviously they've got the original transparency of the photo, and it's just far clearer. No, I like the sort of the layout of it, but it's just, it really blurs the sort of the face. No, and on the tri-logo, you've just got IJ's arm just hanging in there, I think. But it works. The colourway, the blue backing, figure works on that. So, it's just a picture. Yeah, they weren't, I don't think Lucasfilm were giving them the best quality photos at the time.
I think they've done like a close-up shot of his face now in a more recent one. I'm sure I've seen that recently. That is a better representation and a much clearer image.
Isn't it? It's just wave now, but wave, so.
Yeah. I think the very first figure released in the Vintage Collection. VC1, yeah. First one.
Good start.
Goes to show how important he is, Jez. you in agreement on the card back, Jez?
I like the card back. I do. You look at it and think, because there's clearly like an Imperial soldier or something behind him as well, because it looks like he's doing a sort of three-legged race with someone else. You know what I mean? There's something behind, and it looks like another leg. It looks like he's got four legs, like he could almost be Mr. Tumnus or something or other, because he if you looked at it and squinted, and let's face it, as you say, it's all out of focus anyway, so it's a little bit squinty. You could think that, that's some sort of four-legged horse-type Dengar thing. Or he looks like something he's that character of Arthur Denton's Aphod Beetlebrot.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide, because it just looks like he's just got, instead of a weird head coming off, it's just like some sort of weird limb just coming out of his midriff. But as it goes, it's clearish that's Dengar. That's what we're looking at. I like the blue pill, the blue backing against the bubble. It all nicely works. And I think there's not much with an Empire Strikes Back logo, which doesn't look awesome anyway. But I do also like it in the Troy logo. So the card back works for me, fellas.
Very good. When we rank them, I don't know if that card back's going to be up there for me. When you look at some of the others, they are much nicer images.
The Rebel Alliance is too well equipped. They're more dangerous than you realize.
Hi, this is Ron Salvatore of the Star Wars Collector's Archive, and today I'll be talking about Dengar. Dengar is, quite possibly, the least interesting of the several Star Wars figures representing bounty hunters. Is my assessment unfair? Maybe. But I've been collecting for quite a few years, and I don't think I've ever heard someone cite Dengar as their favorite figure, let alone favorite bounty hunter. He's just kind of there, one of those figures you're forced to buy if you're trying to collect them all, as the commercials often encouraged. He's kind of like the Lobot of bounty hunters. Dengar appears only briefly in The Empire Strikes Back, and he doesn't really say or do anything. He wears body armor, but for some reason not a helmet. Maybe his brain is already damaged and a further head injury won't matter? That's what the bandages on his head suggest, as does his mutilated face. In the US, the figure debuted with the 41 back wave of figures, that is, around 1981, alongside Leia in her Hoth outfit, Imperial Commander, Ugnaught, that whole crew. And I guess if you saw him in stores around that time, you might have asked yourself, who is this guy? Your confusion would have been justified. For whereas the blister cards for Bosk and IG-88 identified them as bounty hunters, Dengar's card featured a nameplate reading simply, Dengar, like he was Madonna or something. Evidence suggests that Kenner did originally plan to identify him as a bounty hunter. On the Collect All 41 store display, for instance, the words bounty hunter in parentheses are appended to his name. And in Kenner's 1981 Toy Fair catalog, he's referred to as Dengar, the Scar-Faced Hunter. I kinda like that, actually. It almost sounds like something out of one of the Deathstalker films rather than the Star Wars universe. It definitely doesn't sound like the name of a guy who wears a towel on his head. If you really want to get deep into the weeds on this naming thing, you can check out the absolutely bonkers Wikipedia. The folks at that estimable site insist that he's known as Dengar the Demolisher. Probably he was called that in a comic or something. Dengar the Demolisher. I just love the ring of that. Actually, on second thought, don't check out Wikipedia. Don't even look at it, not if you want a girlfriend at any rate. I mentioned that Dengar hit stores around 1981, but that's actually not totally accurate. In the States at least, he first became available via the Cloud City playset. It was available through Sears during the 1980 holiday season. The successor of the Cantina Adventure set of 78 and 79, also a Sears exclusive, the Cloud City playset was basically a platform that allowed Sears, the major retailer of the time, to offer its clientele 4 exclusive action figures. Yup, if you wanted Dengar for Christmas of 1980, Sears was the only game in town. In other words, the supposed playset was nothing more than an admittedly attractive piece of cardboard that came packaged with 4 new figures. Han Solo in his Bespin outfit, Ugnaught, Lobot, and of course, Dengar the Demolisher, or the Scar-Faced Hunter, or whatever he's called. Now, as far as I know, Dengar had absolutely nothing to do with Cloud City. But, well, what are you gonna do, put AT-AT Driver in there? There were only 9 new figures to choose from, bro. Corners had to be cut. Now that I think of it, Leia Hoth would have made a lot more sense. But let's agree to look past that and get on with this Dengar nonsense. In Canada, a similar situation prevailed. Sears got Dengar in late 1980, before other outlets. Sears Canada, however, opted not to release the alleged playset. Instead, they offered 5 7-figure packages in beautiful, graphically arresting boxes. Of these, 4 included 1 new figure. They were tucked in among 6 older releases. And, you guessed it, Dengar was one of them. Because individual packaging had yet to be developed for the 4 new figures, these 7 packs typically presented them on rudimentary black blister cards. The figures were vacuum sealed onto them using clear plastic. Today, a mint Cloud City playset is pretty tough to find, but the Canadian multipacks are rarer than a feather on a buffalo. Even individual vacuum-wrapped cards are highly valued by collectors. Good luck finding one. Of course, Dengar was also available outside of North America. In Europe, he was sold on a Tri-Logo card. But perhaps the most interesting international appearance of Dengar was in a mail-away promotion by UK sub-licensee Palitoy. In 1981, UK children could obtain a Dengar action figure by purchasing 3 Star Wars figures and mailing in a coupon. To promote this offer, Palitoy designed a pretty cool advertisement, which ran in publications aimed at children. Inspired no doubt by Palitoy's similar ad for the Boba Fett promotion of the previous year, its art depicted Dengar from a low angle. His ominous form fills the page, and dramatic lighting picks out every nodule on his imposing armor. Honestly, it kind of looks like he's going to pee on you. Here's the ad copy. Here's your chance to track down and capture Dengar, the most ruthless bounty hunter in the universe. Cut out the character names on 3 Star Wars action figure packs, send them together with the completed coupon below plus 30 pence postage and packaging, and your reward will be Dengar. Free! Don't delay. Get on the trail of the bounty hunters today. Phew, that's some intense advertising, brother. I'm sure kids couldn't resist, even if the reward was Dengar. Where prototypes are concerned, not much exists for Dengar. There are proof cards, of course, including an amazing Power of the Force version, an example of which can be seen on the Star Wars Collector's Archive. There are also first shots, that is, early mold tests floating around. And there's at least one painted hard copy, a cast urethane model of the figure meticulously painted by hand. The original wax sculpt also survives. It's complete and in great condition, which is always a bonus when dealing with one-of-a-kind items like sculpts. Oh, the photo art also survives. That is, the master used to generate the iconic blister card graphics. It's basically a photo with airbrushed modifications. You can see a picture of it in Matthias Rendall's great book, The Crommelin Strikes Back. As the book mentions, the photo art is interesting in that it reveals that Dengar wasn't even the primary subject of the photo used to create the piece. Darth Vader and Bossk are far more prominent within the composition. They're also in better focus. These facts really underscore the paucity of reference material Kenner was often dealing with. They evidently didn't have a good photo of Dengar on which to base their action figure package. Which is why on his card back, Dengar looks kinda blurry. Dengar was available throughout the Empire and Jedi lines. Though he was planned for release in the Power of the Force range, that never happened, the aforementioned proof card notwithstanding. But perhaps the best packaging in which Dengar can be found is the rare Imperial Forces 3-pack of 1981. Sporting a red background and including Imperial Commander and AT-AT driver in addition to Dengar the Demolisher, this attractive ensemble was part of Kenner's department store incentive program. In other words, it was a special product the company offered to department stores looking to get a leg up on, Toys R Us. Of course, Dengar wasn't an Imperial, so he probably shouldn't have been in the Imperial Forces set. But then he was in the Cloud City playset, wasn't he? Listen, the scar-faced hunter doesn't acknowledge your boundaries, okay? He demolishes them. That's all I have on Dengar, guys. Until next time, happy collecting.
I never doubted you for a second. Wonderful.
Thank you so much for your time on that one, Ron. That is a great summary of the character, and I did not know that Dengar debuted in that Cloud City playset. So yeah, great piece of information there. Thank you so much for sharing it. And we're going to take another step back in time now. We're going to go back to Generation Skywalker's Guide to Palitoy Part 2, which was released in December 2023 and covered all of the items that Palitoy released between 1980 and 1982. And as part of that, we talked about the various mail-away offers that Palitoy released during that period, notable for, of course, the Bounty Hunter Capture offer. And we're going to listen to Dave now wax lyrical about it. I know it's something that he's very passionate about and very nostalgic for. Enjoy.
Following hot on the heels of the Boba Fett offer, Palitoy saw the potential to create something really cool that to me is as iconic as the Palitoy logo, and that was the Bounty Hunter offer. And this was really taking cues from Action Man.
Action Man from Palitoy.
Within Action Man, you had the Stars promotion, okay? And on all Action Man toys, you would have a number of stars, which was more or less correlating to the money you were spending on the product. So if it was a low-level product, it was 1 or 2 stars or 3 stars for an outfit. And the bigger the product or the more money you spent, the more stars you would get. And you would be able to get a small DL leaflet. So it is a folding leaflet that would open up 3 sides and front and back. And it would detail offers that were exclusive to Action Man that you could then save up these stars for and redeem them for those particular products. Applying the same logic, they brought this to Star Wars and it was utilizing fundamentally the same mailerways that were available in the States, but like making it just seem so much cooler by bringing in the bounty hunter capture log. And then within this, you could get Dengar, you could get Darth Vader's carry case and the survival kit. They were principally the first three offers. Dengar was also advertised on comic books, which had follow-up artwork similar to the Boba Fett. So that airbrushed style artwork of Dengar, introducing him as a mail away, but also they brought in the bounty hunter logos on that. Again, cutting out the nameplates or on the vehicles, we've mentioned a couple of times already, you had the bounty hunter logo. So where we mentioned on Action Man, it was always like stars. For vehicles for Star Wars, it was the bounty hunter logo and then the nameplates on the actual action figures. So you had two ways to accumulate a number of these things.
That on the Dengar, just specifically, was he prior to the carry case and the survival kit offer? Because it felt like Dengar almost was an offer on his own and then was extended into that bounty offer. Is that how that works?
So if you look at the sort of timescales that they were doing the comic book promotion, it did slightly predate the capture log, but if you actually look at the advert, it is talking about the bounty hunter promotion.
Yeah, it's got the logo on there. It's got the logo on there.
So it predated it, but not by like say 6 months or anything like that. It wasn't necessarily like an extension of it. It was like more or less the first foray into like, you know, talking about this as a concept that could be then redeemed for other things.
Because when I looked at the ad, it's got an expiry date of the 31st of August 1981, but we know it carried on into 82 on the 45 back. So it was kind of saying it must have been going gangbusters, so they just carried it on.
Yeah, Boba Fett was like the first attempt, the first stab in the dark, but you've got nothing to measure it with. Yeah, so everything is like, well, we don't know how this is going to go down. We know Star Wars is popular and everything like that, but you don't know quite what the response is going to be like. Like that was setting the benchmark, which is then allowing them to like really like drive things forward. And I say this because in the States, they had much more of a track record of these things because they did Bosk as well. We didn't get that as like a mail away promotion. So the Dengar one was extended, and then you had the comic book advertising, you had the bounty hunter capture log, and then you had the back of the packaging in terms of advertising that, and then also like the survival kit as well on the back of packaging. And then further mail away promotions were brought in the display arena, which did have some more of that beautiful artwork as well.
Comics.
But the display arena was like the same thing. You had Han, Hoth, Luke Bespin, R2-3PO and Darth Vader, the display arena. And that was comic books only. That wasn't really done quite the same way as it was advertised in other areas as well. To give you an idea, the Darth Vader carry case was extremely expensive for what it was and what you were redeeming. The Dengar and the survival kit were fairly reasonable, but like the additional that you have to pay on the Darth Vader carry case, I can't remember exactly off my top of my head, but I think it was about £6.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, which is probably not far off what it would have been to purchase the thing in the first place.
No, it was £8. It was 6 nameplates, and I've got to just grab the flyer. Six nameplates and £8. Dengar was 3 nameplates and 14 pence. Survival kit was 4 names and 30 pence.
I've got normally would sell £14. Yours for 6 names and £6, including postage and packaging. I've got that on the very first bounty hunter log capture.
Yeah, they did update it a couple of times.
I think there's 4 different ones, as far as I'm aware, 4 different capture logs.
So one of my favourite things in my collection is that Dengar mailer, because I've got such great memories of it when I grew up. My mum sent off for 2 of them, gave me one to play with. Another one sat in the kitchen drawer, like the junk drawer of all the keys and other crap from around the house, and bills and God knows what. And it sat in there for years. We moved house. It came with us. We moved house again in 2005 when my mum and dad moved house. I'd moved out by then. But in that move, it got lost. And I didn't know anything about it really. And then when I came to find out how rare it was, I still kick myself now. And I've managed over the years to cobble one back together. I bought a collection off a guy. He had all these, had all these guns kept in the Dengar mailer box.
Wow.
And you know it's the mailer box because it's got that little number on it, D1108.
Wow.
But the baggie itself is very specific to that, or one version of that baggie. It's got Palitoy, Parker, Bradgate. Who the hell are Bradgate?
Bradgate is a wholesale arm of Palitoy. So where we're talking about like these toy subsidiaries, Bradgate is probably best known as a original equipment manufacturer. So like, if you
I know
imagine
what you're
now,
getting to.
go to a 99p shop and you see like the toy gun and the toy soldiers, the Green Army men, and there's a Cowboys and Indians sort of like role play set with like, the silver sheriff badge and the handcuffs. It'd be stuff like that.
Bizarre then that this was all printed on that baggie, wasn't it? It didn't say Palitoy on it or made in Hong Kong. It's very specific.
Yeah, as to reasons to that, I honestly would have.
Do you know why the box has got D1108 on it? That's the other question I can never get. No one seems to know that either.
No, because it's a ridiculous question.
I know, but I had to ask.
Let it go.
I know.
Most of this stuff isn't really worth the agony we put ourselves under.
That's why we're here, Dave.
So back when we started the show, and I was saying in the previous episode that to me, Palitoy represented such a significant part of my childhood, not just with like Action Man and Star Wars and like Action Force, but like for me, that whole bounty hunter promotion is really, for me, it was such an electric time, and it was so cool. And like you say, when you got Dengar, it was like, wow.
I thought he was another rebel soldier, off a Hoff.
Yeah.
I played with him. I had no idea he was a bounty hunter.
So I knew he was a bounty hunter, but like, you just had no idea he had like that backpack and all this stuff. And I remember the smell of the plastic as well. It was like, you almost like getting a buzz off it because it was just like, but it was so cool. And then to get the survival kit and then the gas masks and like the grappling hook and the training backpack, it was just like, wow, it was such a cool, and Kenner created the product. Palitoy supercharged it. And that whole logo is just as impressionable to me and my childhood as anything else. It is, and that airbrush artwork of Fett, Dengar and the display arena as well. Just seeing it in comic books, I can think back to points of my childhood where just gazing at it endlessly is like absolutely fantastic. And it all comes into them being like masters at, design, adaptation and marketing. They really were. And I do think there's nothing to take away from Kenner, because Kenner were like masters of what they were doing within their domestic markets. But I think Palitoy really understood what they were doing within the UK market, and they certainly used their experience and knowledge of other brands within the market and drawing from that to then create a really competent and really well executed one for like the Star Wars market.
Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time.
We're now joined by Mark Andrews from the Variant Villains. Good evening, Mark. How are you doing?
Hello, Pete.
Great to have you back on board and doing this sort of deep dive into the bounty hunters. We are on to the third one. We're on Dengar now. We've done IG-88 and Bosk. And yeah, onto one of my favourites, I think. Very fond memories of him through the Palitoy mail away. I do remember getting him. He's just a pretty good looking figure. What's your thoughts on him?
He's got some individuality, but at the same time, like, you put him up against Bosk, who we talked about previously in IG-88. Yeah. I don't know, man. Is Dengar, like, we sort of look at these things when we're a bit older with clearer eyes. Is he actually a flop? I'm sort of on the fence with him. He's a bit, you know what I mean? He's a bit schlubby. Or is he buff? I don't know. I can't figure out. He's just one of these ones that just can't get my head around.
He's got plenty of armour. He's got it. He's kind of packing some armour.
Is it armour? I mean, Dengar wouldn't look out of place in a Guar performance. If you've seen them before, you know what I'm talking about.
I know where you're at with that.
Yeah. I've got some mixed feelings on Dengar. But that aside, I mean, the figure itself, He's got some great variations, which is what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, indeed.
He's, you can really kind of get stuck into this little one. And again, he's a great figure in the sense that he's cheap. You can you can have some fun, pick up a couple of Dengars, and other than paying a bit of a premium for the postage, you're not getting stung on, that many Dengars.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good fun.
What are the key variants? What am I looking for?
I mean, thankfully, there's only a couple of them that are hard to get. Probably why he doesn't get too much attention as well, just because apart from the Spanish ones, the Kenner ones are all pretty straightforward. You've got the same, the usual suspects. You've got the Smile factory in Hong Kong. You've got the Unitoy factory and the Cada factory. The Smile and the Cada figures look fairly similar in terms of paint applications. They've got sort of a bit of a yellowy, tanned kind of face. Yep. The Unitoy one, they just went, buck wild again. And so you've got like that grand old custard faced Dengar. Like it's just, he's sort of like the Ibiza boss of, Star Wars action figures, if you know what I'm getting at there. And it's like just wildly horrendous looking face up. I don't know what they were thinking with that one. Having said that, he's got some character. You've got the three main factories that produce the figure. Little variations in the mold for each one as well, in the actual form of the figure itself, which are consistent all of the way through. The Unitoy one, he's probably a little bit easier to find over in the US, as is often the case with that particular one, the way they distribute it. But he also had a shorter run because the tooling for that one, they sent him over to Spain, and he was used for the PBP version of Dengar. Now, the PBP version is probably where it gets a little bit more exciting, probably the only part of real note in terms of price. You're going to get stuck into the PBP ones, especially with the pink face. Yep. Most of the common ones you see over here, and when I say here, I'm talking about the UK, they've got a fairly pale sort of face on them, maybe with a little puff of pink sprayed to give them a bit of colour. But the ones that have got a pure pink face, they're quite hard to find, and they do command a fairly high price.
And they're the Spanish ones, are they?
The Spanish ones. I mean, we talked about IG-88 last time, and there's particularly rare ones there, which you've got probably just cresting double-digit numbers of them known. And it's probably similar with the pure pink face Dengar as well. That's another very rare paint combination on the figure, if you're into that sort of stuff. But if you are, be prepared to pay, kind of a 4-digit number for that figure.
So he's the standout. That's the standout one.
He's
is that
the standout.
The rose face, is that known as that as well?
Not so much, because I mean, in Spain they often put a white primer on the face first.
Okay.
And sometimes they just forgot to put a second coat on with a bit more of a pinkish sort of color or a tan color or whatever it might be, a creamy color, I should say. And so you get some white face ones, you get some with that sort of, that creamy face that I talked about. A lot of those were exported over here. You see in the Palitoy ones that you referred to earlier. And then, you can get some which are found more commonly in France, I want to say, or in continental Europe, with that slight sort of dusting of pink. And then there's some which, are more than likely a factory error. They didn't have any of that primer on them, and it's just like a heavy coating of pink paint. And they're very hard to find. So yeah, don't turn up very often at all. In fact, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen one sell publicly. So yeah, so they're I mean, it's always sort of between friends or, PM deals that never go above the table. So that's quite often how these things are done, I'm afraid, when it comes to rare stuff.
Yeah, the one I've got, the face almost blends in with the sort of bandages. It's very similar sort of colour when you look at it from a certain, you almost look
pale
at it from
face,
the side,
yeah.
it's very close.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's the figure in a nutshell. In terms of accessories, he comes with his sort of Imperial Hoth rifle. There's no hard to find versions of that. There's the 3 different versions that accompany the figure itself. Each one has a different mold. This is confirmed, in hundreds of different mocks that, you can pick up any one of them and they all sort of show up as a pairing, very, very consistency without, any variation at all. And, that's about it really. I mean, the Smile, the Unitoy and the Cada, 3 different figures, 3 different accessories, versions of the accessory if you're into that kind of thing. Yeah, none of it is too hard to find unless you get stuck into the Spanish stuff, and it's a despite my misgivings, is a fun little figure.
Yeah. It's always the way, isn't it? Those Spanish variants, they kind of knew what they were having fun with us in the future. I think they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, or as soon as they don't know what they're doing and you get these one-offs, that's, all the, these rare combos, that's when the rest of us, variant guys start falling over ourselves and throwing silly amounts of money around. So as long as you can keep that at arm's length, you'll live a happy life, Pete. What can I say?
Indeed. We all want a happy life. Great stuff. Thanks, Mark. Deep dive on Dengar. One of my favourites, but he is slightly divisive as well. We're on the chat we had, doing the main show. He,
is that right?
A bit Marmite, Dengar. Yeah, I'm a fan. Thank you so much. And, as ever, go and check out the variantvillains.com. Loads of great stuff on there. Lots of great content. Thanks a lot, Mark. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Dengar was originally released in 1981, and loose market today is a relatively cheap figure to get, certainly in the UK anyways, but that might be reflective of the amount of mailers that got sent out through the Bounty Hunter capture offers. I mean, you could probably pick a Dengar up for less than 10 quid. I don't know if you guys think any different, but I'm seeing these going pretty cheap. In terms of the Empire Strikes Back releases, he came on the 41 back, the 45 back, the 47 back, the 48 back, and you can pick one of those up for anywhere between £100 to £250 depending on condition, and if you get a really nice mint one, you'll probably pay a bit more than that. And on the Return of the Jedi cards, you could get him on the 65, 77, 79 backs, and you're looking at around £100 on average at the minute. You could probably pick one of them up for, if not slightly less.
Can I just jump in on the, yeah, because when we were looking at this initially, I think it was Jedi Temple Archives, they were showing various different things and said that it wasn't on the 79 back, it was only on the 77, and others are saying, it was only on the 77. Okay. And a Star Wars tracker that showed some 79s. And I was like, all right, okay. So I delved into a little bit deeper on that. And Star Wars Tracker, some people sort of poo-poo it, but actually they do harvest, they do mine from Facebook, from Hakes, from Ventis, from Oberon, from eBay. So they do look far and wide. And there were 3 79 bags found in 2015 and 2016 in Australia, and only Australia. And then there was one, I think, they'd just shown one on something like the July this year, 30th of July this year, again in Australia. So if you are a sort of focus collector or looking at it and you're after a 79 bag, you might just need to keep your eye out for eBay Australia and other auction sites in Australia, because I think that's the only place you'll be able to find them. Correct?
Is there a premium on that at all, Jez, when you've seen, or, yeah?
No, not so much. £83. £59, £25, and the most recent one, £59 on the 5th of May. So they're all ungraded, but they are all showing Australia. So the maximum was £83.
Okay.
So they are 79 bags.
Nice cheap card if you want to go and get one that's fairly rare by the sounds of it as well. Who knew?
Yeah, and that's my search. It's gone back to 2007. So 4 since 2007, according to Tracker.
Bet you know what this is. It's the Darth Vader collector's case from the Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back collection. Inside, it's got room for your favorite Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back action figures. They fit? Yeah. There's Dengar, AT-AT Driver, Rebel Commander, Leia, and 2-1B. You can hold up to 31 action figures, each sold separately, and you can take them with you. Darth Vader collector's case. Action figures, each sold separately. From Kenner.
So we should move on to some of the non-Kenner stuff, Pete.
Yeah, so the Palitoy releases, and we talked about this on the Palitoy show as well. The 41 back is contested as to whether this actually exists or not. Remember John talking us through it, and apparently one was one is kind of known about. It changed hands a number of years ago, and the current collector who has possession of it doesn't want to share it or share photos of it. So it's driving quite a few people quite mad. So no one actually quite knows whether this does exist or not. But I would have thought, in fact, there's no card backs. I was thinking of these sort of contested sort of Palitoy carded figures. If there's no card backs, you got to think they're either salesman samples or there's something, I don't know. You'd think there'd be card backs first, wouldn't you? But who knows if it was in such rare numbers, and there seems to be only one in existence and no card backs. But it's an odd one. But I think that aside, if that does exist, that would be the true debut. But I think the 45 back, a lot of people believe that to be the sort of the true achievable debut on Palitoy, which is the Become a Star Wars Bounty Hunter offer, which is one of my favourites. That's such a strong card back, I think, out of the whole line. That's one of my favourites. So it's available on that. And then it sort of carrying on through the 45, I guess, even sort of trickier as well, because it's the 45BD variation, which is a German General Mills card back with the Palitoy Need None offer. So that is with the shadow under the Empire Strikes Back logo. And there's also a Dutch variation of that one as well. So there's actually no true British release of that Palitoy 45B card. And then moving on to Jedi, you've got the 45C and the 45CN. There's also a 65D back, and then the 70B tri-logo, which we sort of discussed already. So yeah, quite tricksy across the Palitoy range, with a few quirks thrown in there as well. But that, Become a Bounty Hunter card back is going to be a true Palitoy one. Now you are with the Palitoy logo that's well known.
Jez, you might not remember this. When you were sending your photos back from Tokyo, one of the figures in the mix of all the photos, there was a 45A in there with a bounty hunter offer. Do you remember seeing that?
Yeah.
What was that? What's the story with that? Can you remember?
No, I can't remember. I was looking on Tracker as well, because Tracker is showing a few 45As. I can't remember, mate. You've just surprised me with that. So maybe I'll have to go back and refresh myself and see the conversation. It's so weird though with some of these Palitoy ones, because I've got the Guide to Star Wars Palitoy card backs, the first edition, which the Echo base lads did, and Jason Smith, Mark Thornycroft and Green Totty, where they've got their guide, and it was saying, no 65. No 65s at all, not even a 65D. So it's just saying here, Dengar, it is saying, 41B, and it's saying 45A. So it's saying confirmed, card back, known example, 41 and 45. It's then showing the 45BDs, the 65BNs, and the 45Cs, and 45, what's that one? The 45CN, but then it's got a dash through 65D. However, then, as Peter's just said, you go on to the likes of Tracker, and this is where, have mistakes been made? Tracker is saying that there have been 2 Palitoy Return of the Jedi 65Bs. It's not saying anything at all about 65Ds though. So, I think maybe they meant D, but who knows? Very interesting that there's unsubstantiated or sort of, in some cases, this book corroborates evidence that no, these things don't exist, but the books are going to be out of date, aren't they? As soon as they go to print, I guess. But interesting to hear what, John has been saying.
The mysteries of Dengar.
Great one for a Vegas collector to try and work your way through that lot.
Yeah. I do love some of the kind of Canada ones, but the Clipper ones in particular you mentioned, some of those have been very nice. Earlier on, you mentioned prices. Go on. Do you want to guess the price of what I found is the most expensive loose one?
15 quid.
Yeah, no, it's $678. So at the time, £517, AFA 90.
Wow.
So this was,
It's got to be some crazy variant unicorn type deal.
It just says on it, 1980 Ken Star Wars, loose action figure, Hong Kong, Dengar. So it doesn't talk about, what particular variation. 90 near mint. And I think it was the only 90. And so, we got £517. I then look at it 85, alright, £48. So, what a difference it makes. Alright, that was a UKG one. So if I then go to an AFA 85, £55. So pretty much 10% of what that 90 went for. So someone going to a massive bidding war with that.
It's going to start grading Dengars and sell them for 600 quid if we get them on his back.
That's mad. The Canadian shrink wrapped, or skin wrapped, these are also described as. So these were Sears exclusives, and they were the release of the new figures. There were 7 in total, of which Dengar was 1. Also in that line, you had Ugnaught, Han Bespin, Lobart, Luke Hoth, R2 Sensor Scope, and the Attack Commander, which was on card as General Veers, which is a pretty nice variation. So I think these were sold individually, but they also appeared in the 7-packs. And I've read some of them, they appeared in some of the 3-packs, but I haven't found any photos of that. How hard must it be to find the 7-pack to start with, but to find the 7-pack with one of these shrink wrapped figures. So they're the same sort of size as the regular carded figures, but there's no backing on there. It's just a clear or plain cardboard back. They're black. You've got the Empire Strikes back logo, and the figure would go, there's a sort of a space where it would normally go. It's just a white backing on there, and they are literally shrink wrapped onto there. They've got holes on there to let the air escape. I mean, you just realised that the 7 figures included were also the 7 figures that were released in the Class C playset and the Rebel Command Center as well. So I hadn't made that connection. I found one on Hate, which sold this year for Dengar, and that went for $5,500. So that was 75 AFA graded. So they're muchly sought after, quite well.
And that's just the Dengar on his own, yeah?
That's just Dengar, yeah.
Wow.
$5,500. That sold in July this year, so just last month. So I don't think I've actually seen one over my years of collecting. I don't think I've actually come across one or seen one.
Card bag recently sold on Deal or No Deal website. I think it was just the card bag.
How much did that go for? You remember?
I think it was 4 figures. It was easily in the 4 figures. There was one more sold on eBay in December 2024, which was a CAS 60, so graded a little bit rougher, and that was £1,300. So if you convert the Hakes one at just over £4,000 pounds, so £4,000, and then 1,300, just under 1,400. So I've done a search back to 2007 on those, and it's funny that, like buses, 2 come within 7 months of each other, both in States. Interesting. There is that whole thing about Han Solos. Can you remember about that? About the Han Bespin? When Han Bespin was released on one of these sort of shrink wrap cards, they ran out of the Han Solo Cloud City outfit card.
Whacked him on the Dengar card.
Yeah, so they used, because there's no character image, it's just a black card. So black card with one of these fingers just shrink wrapped onto it. So the only thing which identifies it is the nameplate. So they decide, what we'll do is we'll use a Dengar one and we'll just put a sticker over the nameplate. So,
So I suspect they were done in Canada. They're probably done Sears.
So I've got the, I've got the Star Wars Collector's Archive thing in front of me. It says, this particular example is very interesting. It's released on a Dengar card and features a sticker over the Dengar nameplate, which reads Han Solo Cloud City outfit. The sticker itself is actually under the vacuum form and not above it, indicating that this was not an example of miscarding. It is surmised that at some point during the production process of the 1981 Sears release of this Han Solo, the producers simply ran out of the hand card backs and to save costs, used an overstock of Dengar cards and printed up new Han Solo Cloud City outfit stickers to avoid any unsightly issues on character confusion.
That would be something, I'd very much like to add to my collection, but 4 figures is mortgage rates at the minute. So sorry, slipping out of my grasp, but we'll see what happens over the course of time.
I'll see if I can find it and I'll get back to you. More on this. I'll see if I can find it.
Got a couple more. In the Made in Spain book, there is a POC version, an El Imperico Contraataca logo, which is very nice. There's one just got the card back, no carded version of it, but one with just a card back with the POC logo, yellow, which looks pretty amazing. And there's one actual carded version with the free figure offer, also with the same logo, which looks very nice with the black shadow under the Empire Strikes Back logo. But we can put photos of those in the notes. And there's also no Meccano, which is really cool.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So Meccano run out. So I'm assuming in France they were getting Palitoy imports or Kenner imports.
But it's weird going back, and it was not releasing when they started the Return of the Jedi run. It didn't get re-released then. It just isn't. It's not on a Meccano card, which, struck me as pretty bizarre.
Deal or no deal, 19th of April. GD Canada Sit exclusive shrink wrap Tengo card. This is a zero back. Get it? He's written because obviously they've got a blank background. Pop cut, unfortunately, but definitely one of the best looking Sears cards I've come across. So this one is a Dengar, not a Han. And unfortunately, you can see it's just a plain card, where the figure has been sort of torn out of it. So there's still quite a bit of the shrink wrap around it. It's got a sticker on it for Woodwards, $3.99, but proof of purchase has been cut out of it, and which is a shame. So people, $250, thanks to the start, no deal, $275, $300, no deal, $315, no deal, and then the guy's closed it. So that was 19 weeks ago. So he's not said closed, sold or anything like that. So maybe he was just thinking, what, more than that, and people are only going up in sort of $15 increments. So his name was Brandon Baker. If you're interested, Dan, that might be a nice little placeholder for you. Let's go to Echo. Let's see what we can see at Echo, because you never know. And then if you
get hold of Brandon
at the left of the Echo, we'll get hold of Brandon and say, right, I will offer you $316. So
that'll go down well, sure. Well, when you talk about the pop being cut out, though, where is if it's a blank back, where's the pop on it? Then is it?
So on the front of these, you've got Kenner, and then there is a proof of purchase immediately to the right of the Kenner thing. So
on the front.
So General Mills Star Wars action figure, because there is a lovely shrink wrapped R2 which was on for sale. Chris Caswell sold one in November 2023, and that is gorgeous, the R2 on it. And that one, goodness me, that was the 4 figures one. That was going, let's have a little look. 3K, 4.5, no deal. Blimey. 5K, no deal. As I said, it does look lovely. No deal. $6,000, no deal. Blind. And then it's just still available, so you can go for that one if you want.
I sell my car and go and buy that.
That one does look gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. And that one has the proof of purchase. And interestingly enough, the R2D2 brackets with periscope, not sensor scope.
Okay.
So if ever you accidentally said periscope and someone's like, no, it's not a periscope, it's a sensor scope, you can get, I was making reference to the Sears shrink wrapped one.
Nice.
Didn't they also get a transition card? There's a couple of these that got transition Return of the Jedi cards. I think I've seen those with black Return of the Jedi stickers on them. So if you want to go deeper on these.
Love it. Very good. Shall we move on then to the multi-packs and rarities, Jez?
Right. So, starting off with the 3-pack, the Imperial set. So Empire Strikes Back special action figure set. These came out in 1981. And even though it says the Imperial set, it's got an Imperial commander, it's got an AT-AT driver, but randomly in the middle, front and center, Dengar Bounty Hunter. And, so that's a pretty cool one. That's nice.
Yeah. I think Martin's got one of that one, hasn't he? Right. Martin's got, for the AT-AT driver. It's a nice one. I've told him when he sells up, he needs to sell that to me.
Yeah, well, that was 1981. The following year, the Imperial set in 1982 retained the AT-AT driver, but replaced the Imperial commander in Dengar with Zuckuss and TIE Fighter pilot. So, just one night only.
Keep your powder dry on Zuckuss, mate. We might need it.
Yeah. You've got the Irish space figure packs, and I thought these were pretty cool when I first saw them, because I was like, what are they? Initially, when I got into collecting sort of around about 2009, these weren't that expensive. Again, I think I've seen these on occasions at things like, I think I have seen one once at an Echo or at an auction house. So these are 3 figure packs, but called space figures, totally sort of bootlegged, packaged in figures made in Macau, packaged in Ireland. Doesn't say Star Wars on the cover at all. So you're really, really weird, these things. And the example I've got in front of me is Boba Fett Bib Fortuna and Dengar. And I've seen others as well, which is IG-88, Dengar and Boba Fett. So they're pretty good. Okay, so we've got the 3-pack, we've got the Irish 3-pack, and then let's go to, what comes next? 4-pack. So there's Empire Strikes Back multi-pack with R2-D2, again with Periscope, Han Solo, Hoth, Dengar, and AT-AT Commander. Canadian 7-pack.
We already covered that and we mentioned it a minute ago, yeah. That's a good one.
So the 8-packs are again, pretty sweet. Take up a lot of real estate on your collection shelf. So you've got Ugnaught, AT-AT Driver, Imperial Commander, Lobot, everyone's favourite, Leia Hoth. You've got Dengar, Imperial Commander, and 2-1B. So that's a pretty cool 8-pack. And then after that, we're going into the baggies, aren't we? Your favourite.
Getting less and less. We'll see more of that next week. Yeah, only 8 baggies for Dengar. So on the Kenner, he came on the C, the D, and the H. In Palitoy, he came on the A, the B, and the J. And the J is the one that's got the Palitoy Parker Bradgate logos on there for the mail-away offer. And there was also a Euro B, which was for the PPB figure, Meccano free figure sticker. And there was a Euro AE as well. So, yeah, not a huge amount there.
You missed the German 3-pack as well, another Parker.
Oh, yeah. You sent a nice photo of those, didn't you?
Yeah.
Earlier on.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, what's on that, mate?
Of all of them. So that was they were the sort of Power of the Force era, the original vintage Power of the Force, or end of the line Power of the Force. They were sort of all dance 3-packs, and he was there with the Emperor and Vader, which is a nice little set. And they're super rare. We touched on one of those earlier, didn't we? Was it Bosk we found on one?
No,
yes. The Cap 2 shrink pack.
That's it, yeah. The Cap 2, yeah.
I remember finding some of those on Vectis going back like over 10 years ago, and now we're going for thousands of pounds then. So
Good spot, Pete. Well done for picking that one out again. We nearly missed that. And then, yeah, in other toy-related bits, an old Die on a Hill for the Cloud City playset. I know it's not the most popular set in the world, but I love the artwork on the front. Dengar features prominently on that. He's also, I spotted, on the second variation of the ESB box for the Millennium Falcon. So he's on the Bespin scene box of the Millennium Falcon, which is pretty nice now, and I want to get one of them. And he is on the Darth Vader Star Destroyer playset, but it's an image of Dengar on the top of the box. I spotted that yesterday. I went, we're not done with Darth Vader's Star Destroyer yet. So although the figure's not pictured on there, Dengar is. I thought that was one that was worth calling out as well. But that's it for Dengar, I think. I don't think he appears anywhere else on any other playsets or vehicles.
Falcon was a great spot. He's kind of hidden in plain sight there, isn't he? It's like, should be in there, and he's just lurking right in the middle. So, yeah, good spot.
Yeah.
Activate meditation chamber.
From Kenner's Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection, Darth Vader's Star Destroyer that you put together. Batteries not included.
Darth Vader's stronger now. He's got Luke.
Luke Skywalker. Action figures each sold separately. You can slide the viewing screen, turn Darth on the command bridge, and make Luke escape through the hidden hatch.
Test the laser cannon. We gotta find Luke. Come on.
Darth Vader's Star Destroyer from Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection. Action figures each sold separately from Kenner.
Shall we move on to some proof cards then and pre-production, Pete?
Yeah, so just sort of going through, I'm sort of relying heavily on the sort of the archive and Matisse and Ben's Kremlin Strikes Back books on these, but there are some out there. Yeah, once again, you've got the unproduced Power of the Force card back, which just looks incredible. You just got to think what could have been. These would have looked great on a Power of the Force release with a coin. Got the Revenge of the Jedi 48 back proof card, which I'm looking for sales on these. I couldn't find on Hates. I couldn't find one recently, but one in 2018 sold for $1,752, which I'm sure there's been more recent sales, but that seems quite high for that age. And yeah, going into from Kremlin Strikes Back book, you've got a 41 back quality control sample, a hand cut 45 back, and a signed quality control 45 back, 47 production like proof, and a QC sample. There's also a 48A proof card and a 48C back proof card. But yeah, I can't talk about those books enough. They're brilliant.
I'll bug mine out, and I've had it open in front of me while you were talking, and it's a great spread of Dengar card back. So I take back what I was saying about the card a little bit, because it does look pretty sweet on the proof cards. You know, that selection, that looks fantastic.
Yeah, if anyone sort of sit on the fence about buying those books, just pull the trigger. They're just great. I just dip into them all the time. There's so much good stuff that you're not necessarily gonna ever be able to buy or get your hand on.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
Also on the archive, there's a Dengar unpainted first shot, which looks gorgeous, all in white as well. That's well worth the check. And likewise, he's certainly not coming to my collection anytime soon. So yeah, get on the archive and have a look.
So we'll move on to Beyond the Toys then in Craig's Corner. Okay, slim pickings, but we're building up to Boba Fett, so got every cloud and all of that. So we haven't got a huge amount. So there's a couple of bits I've pulled out. One is the Marvel Comics Fett debut, which always seems to carry a premium, both the UK and the US versions. So some great images of Dengar on both of those. We've got the lampshade, Jez. I'll let you wax lyrical about that because I know you've been building up to the lampshade.
Oh, the old Scanlight lampshade. So, UK company. This is really sort of 70s styling, early 80s. So this was a 12-piece lampshade which you would just fit together, and it has 10 images from The Empire Strikes Back. So you've got a Darth Vader, you've got R2, you've got 3PO, you've got a Stormtrooper running, but there's slightly different poses that you would see normally, the less sort of traditional poses. You've got Luke in Hoth, you've got Leia in Hoth, you've got Han in Hoth, you've got Lando, you've got the Falcon, but you also have Dengar, and it looks great. And with the Scanlight lampshade, it also came with a really, really cool poster. And, I just think it's great when it's got Empire Strikes Back logo on it, and it says, Lucasfilm, but also it says here, Screenbrook Limited authorized user, but it's definitely Scanlight, and I've got one of those in my collection room, and Dengar is looking mean, he's looking pretty scarred, and his armor is looking pretty good there. He's definitely looking better than I remember as a kid. I think it's because you see a figure there versus something immortalized in plastic, because I think Dengar was a blink and you miss it thing in the movie. So your only sort of thoughts about Dengar are what you see as the vintage figure. Yeah. So you actually get a bit more out of it, out of this Scanlight.
Yeah, he's much more, I think that image is much more in keeping with the Dengar that we see in the Clone Wars, where he's seeing a bit more action. Yeah. But that artwork on that lampshade is the same as what we've been talking about on the Topps cards for the last few weeks. So it's kind of, if you go into the third set of the Topps cards, those kind of those key arts for the various characters are all represented there. And on the metal box as well, I think it's on the money tin, all of the image there uses the same set of artworks, although there isn't Dengar featured on that money tin. It is for the same set. So I think it was probably Lucasfilm's first stab at some character key art. We saw it a lot more heavily in Return of the Jedi, the same artwork used over and over again, but this seemed to be a simple run at that, or a softer run at that, and we only saw it in a few pieces.
Well, here's something else then, because this has been mentioned on the last two Bounty Hunters one. There was a particular sticker, and I know Stu remembered it on the last show of what the country was and what the licensee is. Can you remember? It was me, Puerto Rico and Frito Lays.
That's right, yeah, Frito Lays. So it's there. I think about, you, Stu. So they're pretty cool Dengar stickers. I like that. What else have we got then? So
we've got to mention the Icarus placemat one more time. We've done all three characters, so we might as well finish it off.
But now we've said it, right? So this Icarus company placemat, which is, Pool UK, made in England. So it's another British thing, which is great.
Yes.
And then when you flip it over, and I just want to read this out because I think it's particularly good for Dengar. 4 of the meanest bounty hunters in the entire galaxy on the trail of the Millennium Falcon and its crew. Boba Fett, the leader, wears a battered suit of armor with many strange weapons attached to it. The other 3 with him are Bosk, an amphibious creature with huge eyes that allows him 300-degree vision, IG-88, a battered chrome war droid, also known as a flu droid, and
Flute droid, he looks like a flute droid, Jez.
Yeah, flu droid, yeah. Flu droid, thank you. And Dengar, a mangy-looking human. Well, how would you pronounce that? M-A-N-G-Y. A mangy?
Yeah.
Mangy?
Yeah.
It looks so mangy.
Like mangy, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's like a mangy dog.
Yeah, exactly that. A mangy-looking human. Boba Fett's beat up in rusting spaceship. Slave One waits in the background. So I just wanted to read that out because Dengar has been referred to there as a mangy-looking human. And yeah, I think he looks pretty cool on that picture. I got something else. Empire Strikes Back vinyl carry case.
Ooh, yeah. I don't think you covered that off much, but he's on there.
Open that. Obviously, there's several different sort of card artwork variations. But the one I've got is got Yoda sort of predominant, about a quarter of it is Yoda's face top right. And then you've got some classic sort of scenes from Bespin and Slave One and Lando and Lobot on the right hand side. On the left, sort of top left quarter, you've got some Hoth scenes, but the bottom left quarter, you've got Bosk side on, Boba Fett, IG-88 and Dengar stood in front of IG-88 looking pretty cool. So, so that's quite good. And the other things which I wanted to mention is if you're a Dengar focus collector, again, there's something which I saw on Deal or No Deal, 16th of March this year, Brock Walker. So there's two people you're now going to have to chase down here, mate. And Brock was selling original vintage internal Kenner early pre-production 35mm slide of Dengar for presentation as a new character. So I've got one of these for Luke X-Wing. So these are from the sort of, from Kenner, from their,
Kim Simmons,
part of their process of, sort of Kim Simmons photography on a slide. Now my one has got, it's really interesting in the history of some of these things because it's got, mine came from, Tom Derby, and he sold me this one many years ago, and there's two different types of handwriting on it, and by all accounts it was from when they initially had them and they wrote everything down on the slide, and then years later when Lucasfilm sort of Kenner were going back through everything and archiving things, that they were like, oh right, that goes here. So there's two distinct pieces of handwriting on mine. But this one is Dengar in a pose with his weapon in his hand. It says 11/81 new char full stop new character JWSW 910 alpha, and it's just something a bit different. It's pretty cool. And I was looking at that, and again that didn't sell. I think people were offering a couple hundreds.
Wow.
He then just closed it, so didn't sell.
Still there somewhere, maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty good though. It's just one of those things where it's just something a little bit small, a little bit different, adds quite a bit to your collection, I think, and it's probably less than the cost. Oh, in fact, no, there were no comments. There were no comments at all on this. So not a single, there are 10 people liking it, but no one made a bid. So, Brock Walker, if anyone's interested, give that man a yell and, see if he's still got that for sale.
I wonder if we'll get any commission if he sells it.
I think they're worth it. I do. As I said, I'm quite happy with my Luke X-Wing one.
Yeah, very good. Anything else, Jez, or is that the extent of the Beyond the Toys on Dengar?
I think that's really
we should give Mark Daniels and Dan Turl a shout out for that Dengar in the shop display they made quite recently. It's vintage item, but it's a very cool piece.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, I've got a photograph right in front of me. Thanks for that, Pierre. Yeah, because that is awesome.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. Can you describe it?
It's the Dengar from the advert, isn't it? From the Palitoy sort of bounty hunter advert, and that they done. That's a separate piece, and then it sits onto the back. I can't remember what the artwork is on the back, but it was sold through the Palitoy group. I remember that, and it's a very nice piece. I've got one upstairs. I can sort of circulate a photo.
Oh yeah, I've got one in my collection room. And Empire Strikes Back, get Dengar free, and it's a sort of 3D thing. So it's got the Dengar figure then sort of superimposed on the standee. Stand's really tall. They did a great job on this, and part of this was to raise money for charity. They're all numbered. I've got number 21 of, I think there were 55.
55. Yeah, I've got number 3, I think.
Right. And so just that, Mark was brilliant for doing all this stuff with charity, and that raised about 500 or so pound for my running Stormtrooper campaign. So I was really pleased with that.
that is it for this show, but if you want more Generation Skywalker between shows, we have a back catalogue approaching 150 episodes, including more vintage collecting with the previous 25 episodes of Those Old Fossils, modern collecting with the modern way, committees, movie commentaries, and our A Look At series where we discuss Disney Plus shows. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Threads for the latest Generation Skywalker show announcements and more. Just search Generation Skywalker to find us. And if you want to interact with the hosts of Generation Skywalker and other listeners, why not join the We Are Generation Skywalker Facebook page? And if you've enjoyed this show or any of our shows, please leave a 5-star review on your podcast listening platform. It really does support the show and help grow the audience. We'll return next month for another Those Old Fossils and the Bounty Hunter Capture Pod for a double bill this time featuring Forlom and Zuckus. Or is that Zuckus and Forlom? It's going to get confusing, I think, boys. So if there are items relating to these characters you think we should be covering, or if you have a story related to them, or if you're a focus collector of either of them and want to come on for a chat, please get in touch. And you can do that either via email at generationskywalker@gmail.com or just messages through the Generation Skywalker Facebook page. And again, a massive thank you to Mark Andrews for Variant Villains and to Ron Salvatore from the Star Wars Collectors Archive for their time and sharing their vast knowledge. But until next time, it is good night from Peter.
Good night, guys. Cheers.
It's good night from Jez.
See you next time.
And it is good night from me. We are Generation Skywalker. All eras, all passions, all Star Wars.